Really? This wasn't the episode that won you over?
The last episode almost got me on its side, and then like I don't know. I have thoughts about this episode and it's like
I would
the
like to
way it treats
propose.
the the prime directive.
Oh, it
Because
makes
I
a
was like,
strong case against the prime directive, doesn't it?
yeah, like I in the last episode of like the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, uh this episode's good because you don't hear them rambling about the fucking prime directive. And then like this episode, first thing they do, it is all prime directive bullshit.
Yeah, I really had to bite my tongue when I heard you say that. Like,
I,
well,
I, I, I truly love prime directive stories because the dilemma is always should we or should we not violate the prime directive? And the answer is always yes, we must violate the prime directive.
Proximity alert. Vessel approaching. The vessel is hailing.
Space.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
Like you would figure at this point they would just like be like, listen, we're gonna leave it up. You have to say no, but when you're out and about, yeah, there's room for interpretation. You know, we're gonna leave it up to you.
Well, there certainly is because they've never actually said what the prime directive is.
Yeah, wisely, the prime directive is more vibes based than actually written out in text. I think that was definitely a good decision, but yeah.
There was a frustrating moment in this episode where Dr. Crusher says, "Don't quote the prime directive at me." I'm like, so that's a quote from the prime directive. Is he quoting it?
You gotta, you can extrapolate it backwards from just what people say about it. I mean, that's basically the entirety of Memory Alpha, I suppose.
I wish there was something in the prime directive about not doing blackface. Like it was just like a, hey, if you're gonna do anything as part of the prime directive, first things first, don't slap on poorly and quickly your interpretation of what the locals look like. That's probably not the best idea.
Thoughts?
Well,
pardon me. Go ahead.
well, I mean, yeah, sure. You know, I think, but if you're going to use that as a fun sci-fi thing to do, you might want to avoid like specifically darkening the skin of the actors, and then having a line of dialogue in the episode that's like, Dr. Crusher managed to change our features and also to darken our skin, so don't write us letters about it. Like,
it's sci-fi magic.
Thoughts? First of all, it's not blackface; it's olive face. Second of all,
oh, Jesus Christ!
If they had a no blackface clause in the Prime Directive, then they couldn't be friends with the Klingons. You could hardly have any Klingons without blackface, Zots. Come on. What are you?
They got one black actor to play a Klingon for the entirety of this fucking franchise.
No, there's like one more, and then hundreds of others that are just white actors in blackface.
it's like really all you'd have to do is have one white Klingon, you know, and everybody would not question it.
They do indeed have one white Klingon as you
Discovery,
you may know.
whatever.
Discovery. Oh,
yeah, isn't there like?
Oh yeah. There's ugly Klingon. I hate Discovery, so no. And I'm talking about the albino Klingon in DCS9. But I mean, he specifically is an albino Klingon. He's not. So
we the audience know that human beings come in different colors. It would be reasonable that in the vastness of space, perhaps some of these aliens is different colors. You know?
Whoa.
No. No.
No.
No,
No, there's
you
no
need
black
as many.
Bajorans. There's no white Klingons. There's
There's Black Vulcans.
there is a Black Vulcan or two. Well, no, 4. He has kids too.
Listen, what if they weren't allowed to like run around in various guises of cultures they deem inferior to Starfleet? What are they gonna do with all that burnt cork and shoe polish? You know, it's just
We just gotta. Well, that's what you don't understand is that they used that all for Skin of Evil. That was.
Speaking of, I wasn't gonna. I would never ask if this is the most racist episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation that you've watched thus far, but is it the second most?
No, because of course you
Third?
know the one.
the third.
I don't
maybe.
know. Is the alien sex planet, is that racist? I'm sorry, the Aryan sex planet, is that
No.
racist?
It's
They don't
racist
even have
within the
anyone with
context-
dark hair on the Aryan sex planet.
It's racist in the context of like, so like they in the episode before it, god damn it, I always forget the name of it
Yes,
because
so-
I want to
yeah.
scrub it from my memory.
Very
Honor.
critical- Oh,
The,
the
the,
racist episode.
Yeah. So what is it? Critical Honor, whatever the fuck it's called.
It's called,
or
yeah,
Critical
I think
Honor
it's
thing.
called.
Code of Honor, right?
Yeah.
Code of Honor. So Code of Honor, right? Everybody on the fucking everybody on the Enterprise wants to nuke this fucking place from orbit. Like they just want to destroy everything about it. Like, there's no
only
nuance in the
discuss it as an option that they are solely prevented from pursuing.
Even the
due to the
empath.
Prime Directive.
the person who's like whole being is like sensing people's like emotions on a planet, and like if people like someone on a planet has a tummy ache, she gets all like, oh no, somebody sat down there, and she's standing above there, she's like, you know, we could just launch a photon torpedo into their atmosphere and make the entire planet uninhabitable. You know, I haven't felt what it's like to see. I haven't felt the pain of a child seeing its parents choked to death before.
Well, it's almost worse than that, because she accuses Picard of thinking that, actually. So Picard is actually the one that was apparently thinking that, according to
and she's
Troy.
just vibing with it. Like she's just like, hell yeah, let's do it. But then so it's like, so that's the one. And then like right after that one, then they go to the Aryan planet, and
The Aryan sex
Wesley's
planet, to be
and Wesley
specific.
Yeah, he
and-
breaks a flower. And
yeah, he steps on a flower, and everybody's rallying around like, well, we have to discuss the nuance of their laws. I mean, we have to meet with them, and like, are we gonna challenge anybody to fucking combat to protect
No, they just
Wesley?
want-
Oh
well, they
no,
wanted
of
to get rid
course
of
not.
Wesley. I think it's fair. I think it's actually quite fair.
Yeah, that was fair. Yeah, I mean, come on, what are you gonna do?
I mean, I guess if that's how you want, yeah, sure, yeah.
You're gonna try to fight that?
Yeah.
You're gonna try to
Sorry,
fight
Wesley. You know, we would, but it's their culture and everything. So.
Oh no, these aliens want to solve my greatest problem in life. Oh, what a shame. What a shame to get rid of the only obstacle for me pursuing this woman whose husband I killed.
Of all the things to say on this Gates McFadden Day,
so, well, with that, happy Gates McFadden Day. It's Left Trek.
The fuck is Gates McFadden Day?
She's
Today?
the actor that plays Crusher.
Oh, okay.
today's her day.
And today is
According
her
to Twitter, I don't know why. Apparently, it's typically Beverly Crusher Day, but because of the SAG strike, they're saying it's Gates McFadden Day.
Oh. All right.
It's become so elaborate that I almost believe that, like, wait, was this actually going on Twitter?
No, this is actually a thing, because right before this episode, Gates McFadden was trending on Twitter, and I was like,
Oh.
if Gates McFadden had a real bad take about the situation going on in Gaza right now, I don't want to talk about that on Left Trek.
Oh no! Oh no! Let's not. Oh, Jesus.
Luckily, that people saying that she's a nice lady and it's her
Yeah,
day.
good.
Oh,
Good.
great.
Good.
Oh, wait.
Good.
So,
I'm
so
glad.
it actually is Gates McFadden Day.
It is
then.
indeed Gates McFadden Day. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay,
I don't know
good.
what
Good
part
Lord,
of that
yeah.
is
I
troubling
mean,
you.
I thought it was a bit, but you know what? I'm glad it's not. It's welcome to Left Trek. It's We're coming to you on Gates McFadden Day, a day you all know about. I know it's going to come 3 days after Gates McFadden Day, but it's still the Gates McFadden season. I think we could all agree. Sorry, Zats. What's up?
I was just thinking about like, so you have Beverly Crusher, being like, cool and like leading like the workers to justice, and then you have whoever the fuck played fucking
Pulaski.
Dr. Pulaski putting out fucking really bad tweets about Palestine.
Are you gonna accuse Pulaski of being a Zionist scab sauce?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Okay. We're off to this.
Dr. Pulaski would definitely both sides of this fucking scenario.
Oh no, she
And
has a
it's,
side, all right. She has a.
Oh
firm
yeah,
side.
that's right. Yeah.
If you disagree, feel free to leave a comment below. Or let us know what you think.
If you're a legal representative of whatever the actress name of Dr. Pulaski,
Shit!
then please leave a comment, like and subscribe.
This is our moment. This is our moment to be taken seriously right now. Calling out old actors from fucking the next generation.
You know,
Well, not even the character. You're calling out the actor.
yeah.
Oh shit!
Your hatred for the character has fully transcended the screen. And
Do you? Hey, hold on! Don't give me that shit. You don't like fucking the dude that plays Wesley Crusher.
No
I can't
one
fucking
does.
remember.
That's fine.
Yeah,
no one,
yeah,
no one does. That's
same shit.
That's
Completely
universal.
unrelated.
Everyone hates. Everyone hates Will Wheaton. wait. Wait, I think I need to walk that back. Eric, cut that.
So, one thing I wanted to discuss about this episode is right at the beginning, right?
Mhm.
They're like, this planet, it's full of what they refer to as proto-Vulcans.
Mhm.
And it's,
Oh, is that
and-
what that is? Really? I didn't even hear
yeah. And what doesn't make any sense about, so are we to believe that like Vulcans can just evolve on any planet? Is that the
So yeah, so there's some archaeology going on here, because at some, so the Vulcans have like been as we know, has been like a spacefaring race for millennia upon millennia, and at some point in the very ancient past, like the Vulcans have sort of like spread throughout the cosmos. And of course that's the Romulans are basically just Vulcans. They're nearly identical to Vulcans, and and there's a great many other like Vulcan descendants. Some are like ancient civilizations that have been lost to time that are also still related to Vulcans, and are products of like the Vulcans like seeding life out into the universe and going through some sort of like interregnum where they lost their advanced technology or maybe chose to forego it for some reason.
interesting lore? Might I suggest a counter explanation?
Mm-hmm.
I think they had a lot of Vulcan prosthetics, and they didn't want to make new alien prosthetics for this episode.
But they're
So they
very
just went like,
logical.
fuck it, they're Vulcans or whatever.
But they're so logical. They've cast aside supernatural belief of any kind. They've figured out what is and what is not supernatural very firmly,
Yeah.
and have cast it out completely.
Also, weirdly, like anti-religious stance from the Federation.
Extremely.
Wondering how the Bajorans are going to feel about that one, you know?
Yeah, it is extremely directly anti-religion. Like Star Trek in many instances, Star Trek hates religion, and I don't think it hates religion in the same way that I hated religion when I was 13.
Yeah.
it's very interesting, and it gets kind of tossed aside annoyingly in some places. Deep Space Nine, of course, they have the whole like Moses thing going on, which is fine until it actually pays off, and the payoff sucks, and I don't like it. But
Well, like they also have the Klingons have a religion, and how come no one ever turns to Worf and is like, "Hey, man, you know this shit's bullshit, right?"
Because because all his shit is just like BDSM stuff with your clothes on. Like that's all his shit. Like his whole like that missed birthday party or whatever that Wesley runs and scrambles the crew for to get on the holodeck so they can
that's
watch.
Really all you know about the Klingon culture is that they occasionally do BDSM for their birthday.
I need all my closest friends and family to watch me get my balls zapped in a straight line.
The thing about the Klingons that I've come to realize is that they're like a warrior culture, but not like none of their culture is designed to make them good at being warriors. Like it's just like they like fighting, and they don't really care if they win, and they like being in pain, I guess.
How I have contextualized it in the past is that the Klingons are not a warrior culture; they're a frat guy culture. Their entire culture is solely devoted around them like daring each other to do like and the shaming one another for not doing extremely and increasingly like gross pranks. They eat worms, they sleep on on metal, they shock their balls with tasers, and it just the frat guys. What actually happened? Kales was just like I don't know, like Logan Paul or something.
His name was Kyle Lesmond.
Are these still contemporary references?
We're watching a 30-year-old show.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great point. That's an excellent point. So, yeah, they eat worms, and they hang out with pigs. I hate the Klingons. I've hated the Klingons more and more as I've watched them. I hate that they're fascists. I hate that they have slaves. I hate that the Federations are friends with them, even though they're these fascist, patriarchal, slave driving fucking just. It's like the Federation befriended like the humans from Starship Troopers. Like they're just evil.
It begs the question, right? Because this whole episode, the central dilemma is like, do we reveal ourselves to this alien society who believes us to be gods? And like, okay, they leave, right? The next day, fucking Ferengi or Klingon ships show up, and they're like, yeah, those guys were full of shit, but check this out. I actually am a god. I can shoot lasers from my hand.
Yeah, literally, yeah. Of course, we see that literally happening in a much. We'll get to that episode in like 5 years when we get into Voyager. But then, of course, yeah. Also, what the Klingons? What do? Well, they got invaded when they were like primitives. So what do they do? They genocide. They go around killing people. They seize planets. They bring them into the Empire. They uplift. They do not have a prime directive, but they're the Federation's best friend. They're their best friends. They're all buddies now, even though they're horrible monsters. They're all good buddies now. Oh God. Okay. All right. We should get into the episode. Actually, no, we should do the introduction. Welcome to Left Trek, your leftist Star Trek podcast. Whoops, we're 20 minutes in. I'm Eric. I'm 20 minutes in. I'm wait, no, I need to think of a related thing. I'm just a simple merchant come here to trade my cloth. I'm sure I'm not a human spy with olive oil smeared on my face and pointy elf ears that I got from Evangeline's. Wait, no, that's a local thing that I got from Spencer's Gifts. And I am joined by Zotz.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Zotz. I'm conveniently dying on a medical table to prove to somebody that my boss is not really a god.
Okay. And I am joined, and we are joined once again, earning their challenge coin second appearance for Left Trek. It's Thought Slime.
Hi, I'm Thought Slime. You're going to be watching the whole episode trying to tell whether or not I'm Ray Wise from Twin Peaks, and then you're going to check IMDb later, and I am.
Well, a prolific actor, this guy. Well, the episode opens. They're resupplying some anthropological team, and they have to repair to the reactor. Geordi, they need to do some exposition, so they send Geordi to do it. And he's like, "Why do they need such a big reactor?" Of course, they have a hologram. They do hologram.
I don't want to look. I know we're getting into the weeds a bit here. I don't want to get too nitty gritty on this. But
please,
the fact that
nitty and gritty as you'd like.
the chief engineer of the Starship Enterprise is like a giant hologram, that doesn't make any sense. Oh wait, I suppose it's like a duck blind, a concept I would be much more familiar with.
What the fuck's a holodeck?
Because we go hunting all the time. Yeah.
It is an analogy that only serves to confuse and make you have to explain the analogy.
They just
like putting too much air in a balloon.
Riker turns around. Geordi, the duck has been extinct for fucking 2,000 years.
Well, that's why the tragic loss of the duck is due to the proliferation of duck blind. That's why it's such a common term in the 24th century.
It's been rabbit season for 200 years.
God damn it. Looney Tunes jokes. Just staying as relevant as possible.
That hit me right in the shell. That was great. And
then when they go down to fix it, one of the consoles explodes and Geordi's visor spins around his head like Daffy Duck's bill.
What they get called by the anthropologist and they're like, oh, our reactor's gonna explode, and then sure enough, it explodes right there. It's like, oh shit, go to warp 9.
There's an incredible exchange of dialogue where they're like, hey, our reactor's about to explode. You need to get here as fast as possible. And Data turns to Picard and he's like, you can get there in 23 minutes if we do warp 7. And it's only after the explosion happens that they're like, oh yeah, let's go to warp 9.
Warp 9. It was really funny when I was watching it, because I really wanted to say to you, Eric, like the second I saw the console sparks, I'm like, oh, that fucker's dead. Nobody survives that.
No
dude
one survives a console blowing up at their
fucking
face.
Toasted.
Instant death.
Number one cause of death in Starfleet.
one of the only causes of death in Starfleet. It's like 99% of fatalities in Starfleet are from a console explosion.
What? I don't understand. Do they store like fucking like thermite behind it? Like
Yes.
Why does it like
Very
just
specifically,
explode?
yes. There's that's how they power the consoles. It's thermite based technology, you see. So you shake the ship too hard, and then the consoles just start fucking lighting up places like a couple of folks trying to blow up a tractor or something. I raked all the leaves in my yard and I put a bunch of thermite over it. Let's see what happens. Oh no, all the consoles on the Enterprise exploded. They show up on the planet and electrical shocks are firing off everywhere. And oh god, the hologram cloak is down.
Was it just me, or were those like electricity things not making any noise?
No, was it okay? Mildred, when you were watching it, was the screen just flashing white for you every time there was like an electrical spark?
I noticed what you were talking about on rewatch because I wasn't actually looking at the screen when it was happening.
Okay.
It was like flashing, yeah, but there was like blue electricity. like
But like it
Drawn
was
on.
maybe it was because I was watching it on my phone.
Zotz was having like epilepsy watching like the
It was
screen flash.
terrible.
No,
It,
because,
it
like,
was pretty bad.
It
This
woke
is
up
what I
my.
was thinking when I was watching it. Is like anyone who is photosensitive is fucked.
But
There's
yeah,
no sound to
I
it
was-
at
the
all.
same thing. Yeah.
I was laying in bed, right? My wife's next to me trying to sleep, and like it woke her up because it was just flashes of white light just like beaming into our bedroom. Like, just what is going on? Couldn't hear it. It was the flashing light. I was just like, is there an IMDb like for the Pokemon,
you
the Pokemon
literally
Porygon
said-
episode?
You literally said in the chat, any IMDb in info on this episode causing fucking seizures.
It was really bad. Like, it's like maybe once or twice, but every time they fucking go inside the duck blind, that's how I'm referring to it from now on. It's just the duck blind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, so today is the annoying part.
Yeah. Yeah, I was rewatching again this morning because I lost all my notes. So I retook my notes not on voice, so I missed a few things. But yeah, I was looking at it this time, and I'm very light sensitive. Like, I have like an incredibly aggressive blue light filter on my OLED screen, like at all points. Spent all my money on getting an OLED TV just so that I could have like true darkness. And yeah, it's awful. Yeah, they fill the entire screen with just a bright white flash of light. I'm sure, like, you were in your bedroom and it's like dark and it's on your phone. I'm sure it was lighting up the whole fucking place, just blasting. Am I correct?
Yeah, you probably like turned to the console by your bed and then it exploded and killed you.
Your phone explodes and kills you instantly. It's too bright. So there's some native. Oh yeah. So the electrical shocks, clicking devices down. Some natives start walking up, and they're like, "Ooh, I've got to take my reading from this sundial." Haha.
It's so logical, you see. They're already performing sundial experiments.
Yeah.
Hey, what the fuck was that about? What the fuck was that? They're like,
It's
she's
the
like, if I
official
don't make
record
it,
keeper. She's got to
if I
keep the
don't make-
records of when the sun rises.
Yeah. Come on.
if I'm not there at exactly noon, what happens to this? What?
She's the official record keeper.
Zotz, I think you, what, do you know? So a sundial so clearly she's measuring like the movement of the planet around the sun in some fashion. So like you keep track of that stuff in order to keep track of like the seasons and things and you know any variations that are happening.
It's way too primitive a culture to have invented a calendar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sundials were used for a
Tell time, yes.
long time. Yeah. It's kind of
okay.
confusing the technological advancement there, because they also have like I don't know if you notice that the guy's bow that he has is like definitively a compound bow. Like the motherfucker's got a wheel on it. Like that thing's hardcore.
It's interesting. It's interesting that they would have that technology, but not the technology to put an arrowhead on the bow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? They didn't have any arrowheads on the fucking
So if it's actually a union rule that if you're like shooting bows and arrows, even if it's like fake, you cannot put any kind of arrowhead on an arrow. And so like nowadays when they have a bow and arrow on TV, they just CGI in the arrowhead. But I guess back then it was just like they figured nobody would notice. It was an SDTV. But like there's a scene where he's pointing it right at the camera. Right at the end, and it's just so obviously it has no point on the arrow. It's like it could not be more clear.
I'll put that up right here. Hey, check that out. it's a real thin stick. Yeah. If only they had the same rules about guns, but I mean guns are safe though. So that's fine. Arrows, no, you can't have anything like that. But Zotz, she's the official record keeper, you see, so she has to...
Yeah, sure. Sun high sky, or jot that down.
They also, it really felt like that was going to come up again at some point because there was so much time spent on this fucking sundial that I thought, like, yeah, like that's going to be the key at the end, you know?
Well, it does come up once. It does come up once more. To be fair, when to foil the plans of the tricky rope tying BDSM expert Riker, but of course, you know, we'll get to that.
Yes, yes.
The father, it's a mother, sorry, it's a father and a daughter, and oh, they see the white flashing of Zotz's phone screen displaying the episode in the distance, and they but it's high up on a cliff, and it's a high up on Vasquez rocks, and they go, he's climbing up slowly, and he sticks, and they see the duck blind. And they stick his head in, and it's just very surreptitiously, just his head just sticking right out of the window. And he sees people beaming away. He's quickly spotted by Data, but oh my god, he touches a wall. He gets shocked, and he falls 300 feet to his death. His daughter comes up to treat his death, but the sound of people showing up makes her go run and hide, but Crusher follows him down on, I guess, her jetpack, and then beams up the dying native man to sickbay. But the daughter, she's got a clear view of the base, and they restore the reactor. She goes up and tries to touch the hologram, and then she gets shocked and falls to her death, and it just starts a chain reaction. Suddenly, the entire village is extinct because they want to go check out this thing, and they just keep falling to their death. Back up in sickbay, Crusher's treating the man's injuries, the indigenous man, and Picard comes down to scold her for violating the Prime Directive and not just letting the guy die. Picard is
so mad.
He's
like, why didn't you just like let him beef it? It's not my fucking problem, Beverly.
You can see every single vein in his bald forehead just bulging out as he's trying to restrain himself from screaming at her. But that's just Patrick Stewart.
And then he's like, well, okay, you better like get into his brain and scoop it out and fuck up his memories.
Yeah, they order.
And
the
she's just
same,
like I don't know if that'll work. And he's like,
I like it. Oh no,
you gotta do it anyway, though.
She's like, you mean what Dr. Pulaski would do?
Yes.
Like as if Pulaski is like notorious for just like wiping memories.
Well,
like
they are very specifically referencing the Pulaski wiping the little girl's memories in the pen pal episode.
Oh right.
Yeah. Where of course the thing that I obsessed with in that episode that is much more dangerous than a little girl having memories of going onto the starship is the provably psychic rock that Data gives to her, and she has it. She has a provably, measurably psychic rock. Like, this little girl disappears on her dying planet, and then the planet gets saved, and she gets back to her family at some point, and there she will be holding a actually measurably magical object. And I think that's going to raise a lot of questions that were supposed to be solved by the mind wipe. The psychic rock drives me insane. Like it's I can't go on with. I'm sorry, I can't go on with the psychic rock. But yeah, so Pulaski developed a way to, I don't know, wipe people's memories, which is proved irrelevant by a psychic rock. But hey, it may or may not take. But she gotta try it anyway. They trade his injuries and beam him down, and oh, look at that! It did not take. His daughter's looking for him, and it becomes clear, oh my god, they remember everything. So apparently these people are already all atheists. They have figured out definitively what is and is not the supernatural.
They're all they only have technology as far as the sundial and atheist subreddits. That's
but they also have a like immaculate recall of this like millennia ago their ancestors believed just some total horseshit, just that, you know, like this stuff we know it's not true, but they believed in this thing that perfectly maps onto this experience.
Yeah, they believed in supernatural entities and that, oh, what happens after death. Of course, these guys, they figured that all out. They figured out no, death is simply a permanent cessation of life. It's a chemical, it's a biochemical thing that life is, and it is simply the cessation of that. We understand that. We understand there's no ghosts or any bullshit like that. Okay, we don't have anything. The most advanced technology that we have is this compound bow, which is only slightly confusing. But hey, we've figured out we have exactly the same religious beliefs as I don't know, Aaron Sorkin or Bill Maher.
We're enlightened enough to have figured all of this out, but also if we see even one thing we can't explain, we will just assume that that's gods and they're going around.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting in how exactly they figured out what is and is not a super.
Metal tipped arrows, fucking work of the great Picard.
Yeah, they're just sharpening sticks and rocks, and they're like, that whole god thing, that's fucking stupid. Our ancestors were idiots, and they lived in caves. I guess they do have pretty advanced archaeological exercises, though, so that's interesting. But they figured out they figured out atheism is the correct way to do things. They get YouTube videos from 2013 on this planet. And it is described as the product of their logical Vulcan mind. Now, there's also a little bit of a weirdness there because, like, weren't the Vulcans were like super fucked up and violent until very recently. So
this bothered me too.
Yeah.
I hate how so much Star Trek media presents Vulcans as biologically incapable of emotion, rather than having a culture which trains them not to act on their emotion or to show their emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think of the Chris Pine, J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. There's a scene where like Spock is a little kid, and these other Vulcans are bullying him, but they're bullying him in that like monotone, like logical voice, you know?
Yeah. We have done some mathematical estimates, and we have clearly determined that your mother is of loose morality. And Spock responds, I believe that I am a sticky adhesive. I believe that you are a sticky adhesive substance, and I am.
Logic would dictate your insults bounce off of me and stick to you.
and then they look at each other and shuffle away because they just got burned so fucking bad. Yeah, no, logic is not something that you learn. It's not something that they have to overcome their nature for. It is simply inherent to their being, because all that even the writers of Star Trek know about Spock is that he was logical, and that's
they murder Spock's parents. Haha, you going to cry now? Are you going to show emotion?
You're going to be a little bitch, huh?
Huh?
You're gonna cry that your son died. That you're gonna cry that your father died. No, it's simply the cessation of his life. But no, they
fool,
figured it all out.
We only do this. We only show emotion once every 7 years when we go into our fuck frenzy.
Yeah, no descriptions of fuck frenzies on this planet, unfortunately. Of course, I'll put up.
No, they haven't.
We know the truth.
They haven't. Yeah, that's right. Genital-free aliens. That's right.
Troy and Riker beam down. They look like the natives. Can you guess what I'm talking about? That's right. They have pointy ears.
Darkened skin. Like I said, they just like Crusher isn't for fucking. Isn't a doctor that's like willing to like wipe memories, but she's definitely one to carry around the Trudeau special. Just
yeah, well that's the thing with the Romulans too, is that they're another species that doesn't have any variation in their skin tone. They are always like kind of like a very mild gray green, and these guys are kind of the same, somewhat mild gray green. Well, I don't know. I have weird color temperatures on my TV.
No, they were
tan.
They were brown.
Yeah.
They were quite brown.
Yeah, I have a really aggressive blue light filter, so it's hard for me to tell. So they come down in with appropriate makeup on. They get consultancy from certain individuals. Monsieur Trudeau's special is what they call it. Anyway, and then they start talking about the sexual marketplace of the natives, and appropriately, one of the scientists looks suspiciously like Jordan Peterson. So I guess that makes sense.
I will say that it supports my theory that these aliens have no genitals, because there were several female aliens and Riker didn't have sex with any of them.
Wow.
Is it just because Troy was there?
Yeah, the only person he
him?
ties up is an old man. Oh
yeah.
My God.
Like, I did get the sense he was at one point talking about the leader of the colony, and there was a little bit of like, oh yeah, like she's so smart. She's so smart and cool. Like, oh my God, if you saw her, like she's so cool.
I'm really attracted to her mind. You know, I'm one of those people. I'm attracted to people's brains.
I like the idea of like Riker being the one to show like this old dude like shibari knots. He's like, no. Do you mind if I do? If I
don't want to tie the rope like this, that'll cut off blood flow.
Yeah, you need to you want a knot that tightens as you pull, but like not too tight that it's uncomfortable. Everyone comes back. The elders hanging upside down from the ceiling.
We've contaminated this planet by teaching them about autoerotic asphyxiation several decades too soon.
God damn it, number one!
They gave them ceiling fan and doorknob technology. It's been devastating them ever since. So yeah, apparently the women precede their mates. Don't know what that means. I assume it's something like what fish. I assume it's what fish do, basically, like biologically speaking. And then they're like, hey, ladies, if you want to deal with my man who I have preceded, then you're gonna have to go through me. I'm his boss now. So this is like a capitalist matriarchy, I suppose.
Unclear whether they mean that the men are essentially slaves or sex workers. It is heavily implied.
Men are slaves only when they get married, just like on Earth. Am I right?
Right.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
And this idea visibly makes Riker horny.
It's true.
They're like, oh, they're a wise culture. They're very logical. And he's like, and he hears this shit, and he's like, you're pretty logical, actually.
I think.
No, I've never been seated before. There was that time with the ovipositor on the whole holodeck, but it wasn't.
We can't talk about that. Computer, one slime person, please. I'm looking for a consistency of 69% gelatin.
Pardon me?
Let's get 20% water and 5%. Let's get crazy with it. 5% concrete. All right.
Have you forgotten who I am? What I'm all about?
No, different type of slime person.
Or the same kind of slime person. I don't want to assume anything. That slime in the background is actually just part of Mildred's body. Not a lot of people know this. It's a fun fact.
It's half my body and half Riker cum. I love that when they come to this planet, right? They show up and they have the incredible we're cloth traders. You can tell by our little tiny bundle of cloth that we've brought.
Yeah.
And then the leader of the outpost, or the leader of their atheist society, looks at them and says, "Oh, cool. What are your names?" And there's a moment where they both look at each other, like, "Oh, we probably should have checked what some names are on this planet." And then they turn and they just go, "I'm Troy. He's Riker," and it's fine.
And it's complete. Welcome, Troy and Riker, to our village.
Nobody even asks like, "Oh, so where are you from?" You know?
Yeah.
No, they're like we welcome outsiders. They could
Yeah,
have just
no
showed up
question.
as themselves. Like we're
Yeah.
from an entirely different tribe. We don't have the same
Well, they
darkened
never,
flesh
even
tone
when
as you.
even when they think about these things, they never really have like a good answer for it. Because occasionally, you know, they're infiltrating people, and they're like, and then they do ask where are they from, and then they look at each other like, we're from we're from this city, and they're like, well, you don't sound like you're from this city. You don't have a Boston accent. We come from several miles outside of Boston, actually, where they talk like how we talk. and that's good enough for infiltrating an alien species, apparently. So don't worry, you don't even have to think about it. Just use your own names. They ask where you're from, just say I don't know, Alaska. Have you ever heard of it? It's really cold there. It's not like this place. I'm from really far away. Don't worry about it. But they find out Troy. This is the first time that the Enterprise crew knows about the memory wipe. It's like that it didn't work, and the man is preaching evangelically to the village the good word of Overseer Picard. They figured out that there's no afterlife. They figured out that astrology is bullshit. Specifically, there's no such thing as ghosts. And there's no God, but now there is. It's Picard, and then they have a little like theological debate. But the man's words are proven as they drag a actual factual alien being into the village center, and Troy and Riker are like, "Oh shit, we probably should have looked for him first."
It's also that character's name, by the way, is Palmer in a Twin Peaks reference. And it's like the minute they find him, they're like, well, Picard said he was looking for him. What we should do is probably treat him really bad and like tie him up. You know? It's like, how is that your assumption?
And then they even are like, "Oh yes, we must help Palmer recover." Well, I guess once they decide to help Palmer recover, that's when they try to spring their prison break with the BDSM scene going on. The Troy is like, "Oh, I found another one. It looks just like Palmer. He's looking in the cave," and Riker stays behind and once everyone leaves, and gives the old man who's looking after Palmer a lesson in shibari knots, and you know, this is a lot. He teaches a lot of things to this old man.
This subterfuge about taking the rope, where he's like, "Oh no, let me show you a better knot," and then we cut to like Troy leading them through the desert, and then we cut back, and the old man is like comically tied up,
Yeah,
just like covered head to toe in rope, just fucking mummified.
he is very restrained. He's like, "Hey, he's sorry about this, but hey, you know, at least it should feel a little good if you just kind of wiggle like this." But so Riker contaminates their culture by giving them advanced knots well before they were supposed to. This civilization is going to go in an entirely different direction now. Thanks to Riker, and they're leading the people away. They're trying to free Palmer. Unfortunately, the girl, she's too much of a nerd, and she needs to go take her readings again. It's almost noon, but oh my God, look at that! It's Riker. I've come back to take my readings, and I see Riker, and he's carrying Palmer away, and they start running after Riker. They send their fastest archer, who's got a debatably anachronistic compound bow. Like an honest to God compound bow. It's got like I don't know if you're just not supposed to notice like the wheel.
Again. You've been saying this a while now. I need to see this again. I don't think it was.
It's
got it is a compound bow.
It's got a wheel on it, straight up.
Yeah, they took like a fucking like an actual compound bow, and they just like strapped some torn cloth around its like.
Yeah,
just above the handles.
Yeah, some like fake hide over it. But and I even saw people like arguing about this on like the IMDb trivia section, and they're like, it's not a goof. They could have simply logically figured out how wheels work and developed a compound bow. And you know what? Fair enough, IMDb people. I don't care. Sure, it is a compound bow. Whatever.
Going back to look at this bow. I have my doubts.
Take a look at this bow. Future Eric, zoom in on the wheel.
Enhance. Enhance.
Riker manages to round a corner and transport away, but now Troy is the captive. She freed Palmer because of
I'm the captain now.
I am the
Oh yeah, that is absolutely, yeah, holy shit.
They got it from like the local. They got it from like they were like, oh shit,
The Bass Pro Shop on the other side of the planet.
Bass Pro didn't exist back then. They had to go to a Big Five. Picks up a little $5 bow. But Troy's like, we freed Palmer because of our disdain for theological discourse. Your views are bullshit, and the father wants to hurt Troy, but the matriarch is like, we won't hurt Troy unless we can't find Palmer, of course. In which case, we're gonna burn this witch at the stake on Picard's orders. Back on the Enterprise, Picard, their god, is having a little meeting. They're trying to figure out what to do. The other guy's like, oh, Picard, come down as a god and give them commandments, and then you can free Troy. But
which is fucking wild, right? That's
right.
such a crazy suggestion.
It is, especially since these people are anthropologists, so they should be the first people that understand exactly why they shouldn't do this, and would probably be the first people willing to potentially risk or even give up their lives to pursue this. But no, go
it's
down
also
there,
like
Picard, be a god.
Like simply saying we have to find Palmer was enough for them to extrapolate. Oh well, if I kill these two people, then probably the Picard will bring back my dead wife. So, like, and you think you're gonna sit down, you're gonna like bang out an iron set of commandments that's gonna like prevent any religious conflict, you know? No religion's ever thought of that before. What if we tell people to do nice stuff? They won't do it.
We're gonna do it right this time. We're gonna make an ethical religion finally.
All we need to do is if we just have some ironclad rules that you may never deviate from, which we've proven we can come up with, the Prime Directive being a great example, then
I like how they have. I like how like while they're trying to figure out, like, you know, like if the overseer Picard even exists, they've just been building like a human length fire pit to like just throw to just throw Troy into, just on the off chance. Picard's been gone
for too long, and he comes back down, and there's a golden cow just sitting in the middle of the village. Star Trek. So this is what we were talking about earlier. Where Star Trek hates religion, which is very exemplified in this, and possibly the most that's ever been in this meeting, where Picard is like, oh yeah, well this is a full-blown religion they have on their hands, worshiping you. It'll evolve into holy wars, inquisitions, crusades, and Picard's like, horrifying. I mean, fair. And he's like. He's the quote, and I'll just play the scene here. We're not monetized, so they can't take away our monetization, even though they desperately want to. Every episode, they want to take away our monetization. Fool, we don't have any. Picard's like, you describe these people as being irrational, as being very rational. But millennia ago, they've abandoned their belief in the supernatural. Now you're asking me to sabotage that achievement, to send them back into the dark ages of superstition and ignorance and fear? No. it's I like it. I like the scene. I like the
just
line.
Like our civilization still has not given up belief in the supernatural, and we are more advanced than these space Vulcans. I guess all Vulcans are space Vulcans, but these
fair
dummy Vulcans.
They've literally met two supreme beings, right? The episode right before this. Well, not the
is true.
Pseudo
they
Vulcans.
have met creatures in the cosmos that are equivalent or even more powerful to any of Earth's gods.
Like they've met for all intents and purposes literal gods at this point, and even still,
like,
Picard's like, "This could never happen. This isn't right."
it is like it's playing on the old racist myth of like when the conquistadors came, people thought they were gods. You know?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
True.
It said they were just extremely stinky, and everybody was just like, "Yo,
Please
Yeah,
take
these
a
guys
bath.
suck.
Please,
Yeah.
please wash yourselves. You smell like shit, literally." And they're taking notes on these primitives. It's like they bathe constantly, almost every other day. It's crazy.
They've given us gifts of flowers and perfumes.
They think of us as gods. They keep handing us soap. It must be very
Anointing
valuable.
us with their holy soaps.
They cry and they plead, but like so. It's a very good scene if you know like the concept of like it really. You know I remember back in like in a phase I'm sure many of the people listening and perhaps both of you had were in the edgy atheist phase when you're like a teenager, and I have some defense for the edgy atheist phase, except when it seems to almost inevitably turn into being a fascist, but that's neither here nor there. Well, I guess it is here and there, but that's beside the point. The Star Trek hates religion, and they seem to show here like here's how religion is bad in like a really direct way, in like a really I should say really blunt way. It's like that's the
But
problem.
it's also
with
a made-up
believing in
religion.
God. Yeah, it's true.
It's like obviously if a guy showed up and he wasn't a god and people thought he was, that would be bad. Like no shit. That isn't what people think religion is.
Great point. They only now have religion because they have provable existence of some sort of divine being, which is interesting. So the last episode that we did, the last episode right before this is the survivors, the two people that are on that planet that got destroyed by the alien species. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, no, I know you, Satsa. No, you remember that.
Yes, I do. I remember that. Yes.
And one of them was in the guy. It turns out he's a Dowd. He's some sort of supreme entity that is capable of a single thought wiping out. Instantly wiping out 50 billion people of like the most advanced species in the galaxy. Just poof, boom, gone. And to your point, Zaz, there is somewhat provable existence of the supernatural, but these guys, no, they don't believe in any of that. Nothing happens when you die. Nothing. We figured out exactly what is natural and not, and have divided our ideology accordingly. But their beliefs got turned upside down. It's he's talking about like, oh no, they're gonna have religion now. We gotta stop that. Beam her up. Beam the mayor up, and she's apparently very reasonable. She's very rational. Riker's kind of like drooling, talking about.
Got a semi.
He's a sapiosexual. Picard can only.
He's very visibly reading Infinite Jest when she comes on board. Okay.
This is just just a little light reading. He's got a copy of Ulysses. Picard's like, you know what? They want to believe in magic. Let's show them how the magic works, and then maybe she can convince the others. They identify her life signs in kind of a funny scene where they call Troy's Bluetooth and try to communicate to her with like grunts.
Again, I don't want to get too in the weeds on this one, but there's a scene where Data is confused about the distinction, and if anyone on Earth should not find that confusing, it is Lieutenant Commander Data. It is a distinction that is entirely based on different sounds, and you ignore like the tonality and listen merely to the letters being spoken, that should be very clear to him.
It
It would have
should
worked better if he understood it better than the humans did. I think that would have been a better scene.
Yeah,
Into France.
it's very confusing what like Data know, because they'll just use like normal English words, and then Data will be like, "I've never heard that word before." It's very lazy. We've mostly
I don't want to go back to Data looking at the kettle to see if it'll boil, because it's the angriest I think I've ever been in my life.
That's a pretty late scene, isn't it? That's like a late season thing, right?
It's like, no, I think it's pretty early actually, but it's like, hey man, like,
Oh.
that,
Sorry, go on.
like, even if he didn't understand the concept of idioms, he would know how heat works. Like, it simply boggles the mind.
Yeah, there's a scene. What I'm thinking of is like in the last episode, they just like someone's like O'Brien's like, oh, we gotta burn the midnight oil, and Data's like, I would advise against burning a petroleum product at 2400 hours. But that is a flashback to early Data. So
And that makes perfect sense. That I get. He wouldn't understand the idiom. He would take it literally. Good joke. Nailed it. Good job,
the
Star Trek
pot-
writers.
The pot boiling is a little egregious. It's like I think this is the last one that you were on for, maybe, where Data's like where there's like, oh, we gotta go snoop around, and Data is full. There's a 180 spins around. And it's like, what the fuck does snoop mean? And he's and Picard's like, how do you not know what snoop means?
Yeah, you don't got a dictionary in that positronic brain of yours?
Yeah, and Data justifies it with like, oh, it's a human behavior I was not made to emulate. It's like, Data, shut up.
But you weren't made to emulate happy and sad. Presumably, you know what these words mean.
Exactly. Oh my god. And also, like, Data is not like freshly built. You know, they didn't pick him up 2 days ago. He's been around for like 25 years. He's like 25 years old. He's been on Earth. You know, you think he'd pick up a thing or two at this point, but
I'm starting to think they were just making this up as they went along.
it's almost like that. It's almost like it's almost. So yeah, they beam the mayor on board. She's very rational, and she beams her up when she's alone, and she reacts remarkably calmly when she is suddenly transported to a different place, where I'd probably react something like, oh god, oh what the fuck, oh no, oh god.
Well, you're not as logical and rational as she is.
I'm not. I haven't gotten rid of my supernatural beliefs. I have not remotely logical.
Was anyone else frustrated by Picard's seeming inability to just speak plainly and just like explain the situation like to a person?
Yeah.
Because he keeps trying to like explain it by analogy or like talk around it instead of just like, we've invented a lot of stuff you haven't, you know?
Yeah, and there's a good scene in here. So Picard. So she does the Dogaze. She fucking gets down, hands and knees, starts bowing to Picard. Picard's like, no, get up, no, please, don't do that. Look, feel my hand, feel my pulse. I'm made of flesh. I'm alive. And she's like, no, you're a supreme being, you're God. And he's like, okay, come with me. And the doors open automatically, and she's like, oh my god, the walls obey your command. And which is funny because, you know, automatic doors to us are not, you know, an uncommon thing. But these doors actually are not automatic. In the fiction of the show, they're automatic, but there's 2 like interns, there's 2 crew that have to manually open the doors on either side of the set, and they often fuck up and have to and create hilarious outtakes. It's very funny. I just thought it's funny she's marveling at an automatic door that in real life is not actually an automatic door. So Picard is like, okay, I'm going to take you to the observation deck so that you can have like the overview effect and look upon, I don't know, you look upon your life and see that those aren't nations, those are borders. Well, I don't even know if you have nations down there, but it's all arbitrary, you see. And he explains, it's like, no, we're not magic. Here, play Civilization 5, and you'll understand the concept of what we're working with here. And she's like, oh, I see, we're in the classical era and you're playing Alpha Centauri. Okay, I get it now, this is fine. It's actually, I mean, we're making fun of it. I like the scene. I do like this scene. I think it becomes frustrating later when she's trying to when she doesn't understand that they can't bring people back to life.
Like when she misses the entire fucking point where she's like,
no.
Yeah, you're right, I get it. And then she's like, but you can still bring the dead back to life, right? You've still conquered death.
That is a perfectly reasonable assumption on her part, is the thing. Picard reacts like, what, like, you dummy, you weren't listening to a word I said. But it's like, literally all she knows about this guy, like, before she gets here, is that her friend died and he brought him back to life. And if he just clarified, no, he wasn't dead. That's all he had to say. No, he wasn't dead.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
Can't do that.
Yeah,
we're not able to do that.
And I like this scene, and then they undermine it like almost immediately in a future scene. So they cut. So it seems like they've come to an understanding, and she's like, and he does like an interesting little analogy where he compares their experience to like her finding one of her ancestors that lived in caves and didn't have a compound bows. And which they know about. They knew about cave people. The civilization. I wonder. It makes me. This is one of those like pieces of information that might be impossible to find. But I wonder when humanity and where they would have understood that humans used to live a long time ago in caves, or some people did at least.
I don't think that's actually true.
I suppose it's not true. When did they have? I mean, it's not literally true, and also the situation that would bring that about doesn't make sense. So never mind, this doesn't make sense. But no, they found tools in caves. Their ancestors must have lived there. Very reasonable. Like, you can see why she's so logical. And it's like, oh yeah, well you have a bow and you have a house, and your ancestor would think that you're magic, just like you think I'm magic, and she'd fear you just like you fear me. And she's like, oh, I don't fear you anymore. And it seems like they come to a real understanding, and Picard has like a real respect for her that violated immediately. Back on the planet.
But I don't think it does. I disagree. I think it is poor writing in that Picard reacts as though it undermines everything. But I don't think it does, because nothing he has told her necessarily conflicts with the idea that he can raise the dead.
No, I totally agree. No, yeah, the writing undermines what they established in the last scene, and also it doesn't really make sense. Like, it doesn't.
And like, he says I'm not able to do that, and she's like, why, have I done something wrong? And then he just like kind of stops talking.
Yeah, they thought up the seed. They clearly, a problem of writing backwards. They thought up the seed of like her coming to terms with their mastery over life and death by witnessing someone die, and they had to go back and justify that, because they had two good scenes, and then they were like, oh shit, how do we bridge these, because one kind of doesn't make sense with the other, and then they wrote something that undermines both, which is unfortunate. And so we get that scene, and then back on the planet, like, a freak storm pops up, and it's like, oh, Picard must be angry. We should kill Troy. Our leader suddenly disappeared, and yeah, they probably should have thought
I like how, like, when there's lightning, they're like, we've never seen this before, and then the guy's like,
this isn't
well,
lightning
we've had
season.
Yeah, we have. Yeah,
well, we have actually. And he's just like, not like this.
I think we can all agree that if we kill Troy, Picard will bring back my dead wife. I think that's the most logical course of action here.
Yeah, and then they come back on the Enterprise, and so she she's trying to like bargain for like the lives of like a bunch of people that died in a flood. Some of them were even children, and she's like, Picard, could you bring back the dead? And Picard's like, that's beyond my power. And she's like, why did we offend
stupid,
you?
ignorant idiot. No, I can't, dummy.
It seems
Can't
I
bring
can't
back
get
dead
through to
kids,
you.
Dumbo.
You're a bug. You don't even understand what I'm talking about. The whole time it's like I was talking to a wall.
I was going to tell you to read Infinite Jest, but you wouldn't understand it.
You can't pick up on the themes. So they're gonna put an arrow without an arrowhead straight into Troy, and back on the ship.
She protests though. She says, "You don't want to shoot me."
You don't want to shoot me. What would God? What would you really think God wants you to shoot me? That's the problem with believing in God. You don't know what God wants. Or that comes later. Oh, whatever. Picard's like, one of the scientists is dying on the ship, and Picard's like, bring the mayor down here. We need to have her watch someone die so that she appreciates our capabilities.
All right, everybody, clear out.
Yeah.
You just watched your friend die. I really need to impart this lesson on this alien.
Yeah.
Is she yeah, like this man is like grieving the loss of clearly someone who's like a dear friend, and then the like a second after she dies, all the doctors and the man is grieving her loss. They just clear out of the scene. You'll ruin the blocking.
Well, see ya. Yeah.
Bye.
I found it was really touching when the Nuria, is that the name of the alien leader?
I don't know.
She turns to Picard and she says, with all of your technology, why don't you simply invent consoles that don't explode?
And Picard just solemnly is like, that is beyond.
It don't work that way. I couldn't explain it.
That's ridiculous.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do with all the thermite and tannerite that we just have stockpiled here?
You haven't listened to a thing I've said. You're not listening, and you're so dumb.
Yeah. If consoles didn't explode, no one would die around here, and how would we be able to explain these things to you?
So why we don't? If there's one thing that we, as an evolved species, have learned over many centuries, is that we will never tie down our heavy barrels, and we will never keep high-powered we will always keep high-powered explosive behind our command consoles.
How do you know about the barrels, Zods? I thought the barrels come much later.
I don't know, through cultural osmosis from you nerds.
Because Worf gets fucking owned by a barrel. it's not secured in any way at some point. Actually, there's a couple scenes where a barrel just tries to own someone. They make fun of it in Lower Decks. Impossible. Straps to tie down barrels, not putting bricks of C4 behind every console, absolutely impossible. It's science
Not
fiction.
until mankind gives up all of their supernatural beliefs can we invent such technology.
Yeah, it's actually superstition that leads them to put explosives behind all their consoles. They think it's good luck, but it's actually killing them all. But so she goes up and takes the scientist's like pulse, and so she has to, so in order to understand their mastery over life and death, she has to actually go and feel this person's pulse. And she's like, aha, okay, all right, I get it. You're not masters of life and death. You're powerless to prevent death. And Picard
I think if one thing would stop people from forming a religion, I think it's if the people in that religion who you thought were supernatural beings died. That always causes every religion to just disappear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's true. No, there's never been a single like deity who has like died and like come back to life for any reason. It's unthinkable. Never been done.
I quit your pandering to the supernatural. We're beyond. This is the Star Trek podcast. We're beyond such things. We're not gonna go back into the realm of fear and superstition and ignorance in the Dark Ages. But no, she understands that they're not, and I like the way that the writers put this. She's like, you're not superior beings. and I think that's a real. I mean, like, you know, there's still all the problems with the takeaway, but I think that's a great way of phrasing it. That's like they're not inherently superior beings. They're just like you in many ways. So that's I like the way they phrase that. Basically,
Did you?
I did. I like that line very specifically, free of context.
I would say that line physically made my testicles recede into my body.
That's where you want them.
No, it isn't. Don't tell me where I want my testicles. Just the idea of, like, essentially what this story is space white people meeting space indigenous people, and the space indigenous people are so amazed that the white people graciously let them know, no, we're not superior. We're I know it's natural to think that because of our cool stuff, but, you know, really we're the same. Really, one day you're going to be as cool as us someday.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking about it with, like, the like legend of the natives thinking that the conquistadors are gods. And
Well, am I reading too much into it? Like,
no, I think you're absolutely right, and in fact, I am choosing to not even think about that in order to keep appreciating the episode, because I think you're completely right. I think you were unambiguously completely correct, and that was a strong motivation for, and that specific story that's not true at all is
all I'm saying
a strong
is that
motivation here.
Star Trek and everyone who likes it is racist. That's all I'm saying.
That's what we've been saying.
That's what I've been saying.
That's what Zos's been saying for a long time.
I've been saying that since the fucking first season. But now I'm in the third season of this fucking shit.
All the Trekkies are West Wing liking racist. That's a line. That's a line.
They're all fucking Aaron Sorkin liberals
of being
that
racist than liking West
that
Wing.
believe that there's two fucking sides to, like, every fucking story, no matter how oppressed the people are.
there's two sides to every issue.
There's always a two-state solution. Come on.
Cut that, Eric. Cut that out.
Fucking coward.
They're I'm probably not actually. Well, I don't know.
Let's bleep it.
Yeah, it depends.
Hey, listeners, I want to stage a protest right now, because the last time I was on this show, the funniest thing was cut, and I was waiting.
In my defense, it wasn't that it was cut. It just came after, and I simply was not recording at that point. But I will be cutting this mention of it, though. Okay. Well. Hey, stay tuned into the end. Well, you know what? We'll talk about it. Let's keep that watch time up. Oh my God, we're already an hour and 18 in. Fuck. Shit. Whoops.
Mildo and Tristan always running us over.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I have thoughts on Star Trek. Why would you invite me on your Star Trek podcast?
Why? What's the point?
To be fair, last time we had you on, Mildred, that was also the last time that we ever did a 2 episodes at a time. Kind of realized that, like, you know, we have a lot to talk about with some of these, so we can't just we can't do things like we've been doing before. We wanted to power. At least it was a good way of powering through the first 2 seasons, because now finally we're into the interesting stuff.
Yeah, are you ready? This is when it gets interesting, Zots. Don't you feel it? Don't you feel it in your bones?
I'm glad I had lasted for 3. Honestly, the second season was so bad. I was genuinely contemplating. Like, I was talking with my wife. I was like, you know, I was having a lot of fun with this whole fucking podcast thing, but, like, this show fucking sucks. I don't know if I'll be able to fucking do this.
You don't even like the good episode. You didn't even like Measure of a Man. You hated Measure of a Man.
If this were an anime, it would have been dropped a long time ago.
Well, that's what you were advocating for. You're gonna be right.
Maybe we could just turn this into an anime podcast
maybe
instead.
we just do left isekai instead of left track. Left.
No, don't let him, because he'll just make it Gundam. He'll make it Gundam, and you'll have to watch like a shitload of Gundam.
Hell yeah!
The
Oh
amount
god,
of
that'd be
times
great.
that Zotz has brought up Gundam on the show is staggering. It's been brought up.
It's a better space opera.
You bring up Gundam more than you bring up the West Wing, which is
fucking good. Listen, it's a better story. It's just in every century except for anything pertaining to Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing is not.
I know they don't have goals on Patreon anymore, but unofficial goal: $1,000 a month will start a Gundam Iron Blood Orphan. That's the good one, right? That's a good one.
They're all good.
Oh, sorry.
Except for Gundam Wing.
I gotta tell you, man, you've made powerful enemies of all of the girls I knew in high school.
Actually, hold on. Let me take that back, because there's canonically within the Universal Century.
No,
hold on, this is pertinent because we have a Canadian. We have a Canadian here. This is important Canadian history.
I already know about the Canadian Gundam live action television show.
And it is.
Wait, we're almost done.
God
awful. You know how I know? You know how I know about it? Because you and I personally have already had multiple, several hour-long conversations about it. I promise you.
God damn it! Fucking hell! God, we've already reached that stage of our relationship. We're just telling the same old stories.
Fuck, I need to keep track of where I am right now. Powering through. They're gonna shoot Troy with an arrow. Life and death. Blah blah blah. Back on the planet, the guy, he wants to kill Troy. He wants to kill Troy so bad, but Troy's like, religion is not based. It's not cool. This is what's the problem with religion is that when you're trying to guess what your God wants, you're gonna end up doing bad things. Like.
Have you ever heard of the problem of evil? Let me break it down for you.
So there's this guy called Thomas Aquinas. Now let me explain to you why he was an asshole. So he tries to they're like, oh, Picard, give me a sign, what would you want? And boom, Picard's there. Divine intervention. He tries to bow to Picard, and Picard physically prevents him from doing it. So he grabs him by the shoulders like, no, don't you fucking bow to me. But the man is insistent, no, Picard, you are God, you could bring back the dead, you could even bring back my wife who died last year. And despite
it's so fucking frustrating to watch, because it's like a minute ago he's just like, on the off chance that this could piss off Picard if we don't, I do think we should murder this stranger, just because maybe if we don't, Picard will be mad. But then when Picard shows up, he's like contradicting him and trying to like fucking shoot him with the bow and arrow.
You don't understand. This is what religion does to people. It makes them contradict their own.
Makes them specifically contradict
his rationale.
Bring back my dead wife, or I'm gonna shoot everybody here.
All right, bring back my dead wife, or I'm gonna kill you. So despite everyone's protestations, he's like, aha, I'm gonna convince everyone of Picard's divinity by fucking shooting him, and he'll be fine. It's like the witch trials.
He's gonna overthrow and dethrone God. He's Antifa.
But Picard and everyone's like, no, don't do it. And Picard's like, if Picard hates, this is how much they hate religion. This is how much Picard hates religion. It's like, if it'll keep this one guy from believing something supernatural, then I am perfectly fine with you blowing out my back walls with your compound bow with no arrowhead. And
the exact wording, as I recall, is he's pointing the compound bow at him, and he says, I really will shoot you. And Picard says, I wish a bitch would try.
Picard last words, what are you gonna do, shoot me?
Well, isn't Picard like known for doing that shit? Like, didn't he get into a knife fight like with a bunch of like aliens, like when he was like in college or some shit like that?
What?
Good thing he did. If he didn't, he'd be a real sad sack. And we'll
We'll get to that episode someday. We have the first mention of it. We don't have the scene where it actually happens. Don't worry, Zod. We're gonna see that fight happen in real life.
So he gets an arrow in the. He gets arrowed, right?
Mhm.
And they touch his chest. Then there's blood, and the dude who shot him immediately looks like so fucking traumatized.
He is
just
shaken to his core.
Yeah. It's like, first of all, like if that had just killed Picard, he would have just made this man a murderer, and he would have had to carry that for the rest of his days. And secondly, I don't think it would have stopped the religion, because again, the most popular religion on Earth specifically, like, is about a guy being killed by the stake and returning from the dead.
Yeah, you just,
and like they
you
look at his
just
blood
turned
and
into
they're like,
Pontius
"Look,
Pilate. You didn't.
look, he's got blood. No God could have blood."
He's just like me for real.
They wipe his like sweaty face off, and you can see Picard's like bald ass head in the cloth. It's like
From this man's perspective, God was real and he just killed him.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's just
now
I am the Picard now, and he just like runs over, rips the arrow out, just starts sucking the blood from Picard.
Well, that's what happens.
I will resurrect my wife.
Now we know what happened, because we find out later that the Klingons killed their gods. It must have been a situation exactly like this. This is just how you make Klingons. You have them. You give them a god and have them kill it like Diablo. like a JRPG. So they show Picard. They show him Picard's blood, and this man is like, "Oh my God, religion! This is what religion does to people.
I'll never have religion again.
They will never do it ever again." So the next scene, thankfully. And you know, I'm gonna put in a little clip. This is how devastated that guy is. He is like shaking visibly. The next scene, Picard is fine, but he's wearing a sling. I don't know why he's wearing a sling, but that's to show that he's like injured. I don't know, maybe he put on a sling for show. He's like, well, we can't. I mean, I got seriously injured. We can't have them think that I was just magically cured by some sort of like dermal regenerator or whatever. You know, I'm gonna put my arm in a sling to keep up appearances of our mortality. But
Picard just keeps bringing out more dying people to prove his point.
We're really gotta drive this home. Get Worf down here. We gotta kill some folk. Start drawing straws. But they're
show them what happens. Whoever runs the console.
They're gonna dismantle the observation post. Apparently, they realized it was unethical. Well, I guess they don't want people showing up and like asking for things.
No, at no point do they concede that it's unethical to have what is essentially a human zoo.
Yeah, they're gonna dismantle the duck blind, but you know, they don't talk about you know, like taking bets on.
You've just been watching us this whole time. You watched my wife die and you did nothing.
You know how we do what? You know how we seed our males? That's so
you didn't see me seed, did you?
The amount of times I've asked that question.
You just look over at Riker and he's nodding.
It's so they're like
they get back on board like I'm glad that's done, number one. Good thing we didn't reveal any more of our not.
I'm staying here.
I'm staying here. I hope we didn't divulge any sort of other techniques and technologies that they could carry on with them.
Good thing they don't know about our very advanced rope play technology.
Yeah.
Riker thinks it's fine because it's a cultural practice, not a scientific one. Well, that violates the Prime Directive too.
It just made their seeding more effective, is all.
You've never seen seeding. They've made it industrial. So they explain the purpose of why they're like, oh, why would you want to study primitives like us? They're like, aha,
the answer they give is so fucking weird.
Yeah,
because they're like, it'll teach us about us, and like, nah, man, that is not why anthropologists look into other civilizations.
Right?
Like,
Like
it's to learn about them because they are
yeah.
a distinct culture that is worth learning about in and of themselves,
I was
not
also
merely like a
annoyed by
stepping
this.
stone on the way to becoming cool like you.
I was extremely annoyed by that line as well, because it's like, I mean, like, it's not, it maybe isn't, it's not wholly untrue, I suppose, but it's definitely not like the main motivation. Like, we want to, for the same reasons why we would want to study culture on another planet. It's because it's a culture on another planet. That's interesting. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Like,
We want
You're
to
like
learn
gold.
about you.
You
And
were
it really-
goldfish to us,
Well, it
and
really-
now
it really,
you jumped
like,
out of the tank.
it really cheapens the whole thing too. The whole like
Yeah.
practice that they're doing is because it frames it as like being entirely selfish. It's like, oh well, it's not that we're interested in you per se, but it's that you can teach us about us. It's like,
Well, I think it,
come
it
on.
proceeds from this like teleological understanding of progress, right? Of that like all civilizations essentially go through the same steps to become spacefaring civilizations like the Federation. They start off as like living in caves, they don't have bows, believe in gods, absolute dipshits.
Sid
Then they
Meier's
give
Star
that
Trek.
up, start looking at the sun, measuring it, and then spaceships at some point.
Unless you
Yeah.
decide to like, unless you decide to like take advantage and pirate all the fucking civilizations that think they're better than you, and then you just don't deserve it, and then you just you're you're undeserving dullards who didn't earn your right to sail in space.
Zotch is permanently traumatized by Code of Honor.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about
I
the
wouldn't
one.
blame you.
I'm talking about the one where they were just like, oh, these are simple folk, and like Jordy
Oh,
goes over there and he's like, God, I love these guys. They're just so dumb. Oh, I love them.
the
Fucking
Packlins.
it's just like a hugely like ableist episode. And it's like, no, they're fucking space pirates. Like that's what they are.
Yeah.
They tricked all these other like
They managed
so-called
to trick the Klingons and the Romulans, and managed to not be immediately killed afterwards. They know what they're doing. It's
Star
fine.
Trek already has smart space pirates. They have the Orion. They don't need smart space pirates. They've already got those.
Yes, the Orion, as Enterprise has taught us, the what happens when you let the women run your space empire. They start a gender-based male slavery. I like Enterprise.
seeding males.
Riker's like, I'm listening.
I guess what we've realized in this episode is that Riker's a bottom. Which, that's new information. We're learning a lot about the human condition through this. And they have a line which should definitely annoy Zot. They're like, yes, it's our highest law not to interfere with other cultures. That's why we can't give you all of our super space technology. And
Yeah, and they're like, that's cool. I guess we don't need like cures for diseases and stuff.
We'll figure it out. It'll be more fun if you figure it out yourself.
yeah, now
Just
now
hey,
the
Yeah,
most-
but
cooler.
just make sure you continue to not have any of that religion stuff, okay?
Yeah,
the
just real
most-
quick. Last year there was a big flood that killed my wife. I was wondering if you knew how to like stop that from happening. If I could get a heads up on the flood. stuff, that would be cool.
Data comes up. He's like, yeah, it's called a wall.
Yeah.
You just build it a little higher.
Build the wall. Build the wall.
Congratulations, Data. Now you've just given them the concept of borders. you've ruined their whole society, and all their potential's gone. Now, great, Data. Now they have the nation state. Congratulations. This is why we have the Prime Directive for a reason. But that's really it. And the guys, there's a kind of an obnoxious line. They're like, "Oh yeah, because it would affect us." And the guy who shot Picard is like, "Just like it if my irrational belief affected me." And then at the end, they're like, "Picard, here is this cloth. I know you already have cloth traders in your roster, as they were described to us earlier, and we, but here's some cloth. Always remember us." And Picard's like, "Oh, I will." Oh, I will.
Yeah.
And he
You'll have to,
does.
because, like, again, if a natural disaster occurs, it could wipe us all out, and we would just be helpless.
Yeah,
so.
the most rational thing for them to do at this point is to, because clearly their ability to take hostages are pretty effective. Take this away team hostage for technology. This is, you want to talk about rationality?
Imagine that, right? Knowing that, not only does just knowing not only that oh, gods don't exist. I mean, even though they do, right? Because of like Q and those and that like one guy that just like vaporized an entire species out of existence, right? Like,
yep.
Aside from those things, right? Knowing that if anything terrible happens to your planet, there are people that are watching and they're not going to help.
They could help, yeah.
They could do something about this, and they will not.
And now you know that. Now you know that for a fact, that they're just going to watch you die. Like, eventually you're just gonna it's like you're just reality TV at that point. You might as well just go all out.
Why not? Why not just make contact with these civilizations and go we're not going to give you any of our stuff because we're afraid of the consequences of what you might do with it, but we're going to hang back, and just in case there's a world-ending catastrophe, we're on that for you. So just don't worry about that,
Well, you see, if you give a mouse a cookie,
oh God!
If you give a mouse a cookie from orbit, there's very little that you can do.
I mean, Prime Directive, blah blah blah. I guess what I was advocating earlier for was them to basically become the mirror universe humans from that one episode of Enterprise where the Vulcans come down, they should go in peace, and it's the spin-off of the movie First Contact. Instead of Zephyr and Cochrane returning the peace sign, he instead of whips out a sawed-off shotgun and fucking blows the Vulcans away and raids their ships.
Which is absolutely what would happen.
I showed up to some guys in Montana on a compound, and it turns out that they fucking blew our ass away with
let me resolve the Fermi paradox for everyone listening right here. Aliens took one look and they just turned the fuck around. Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's. Oh, pardon me.
I was gonna say, that, so with everything that's going on, right, with the United States being hey y'all, aliens are real, right? Everybody pay attention to the fact that aliens are real, right? And nobody gave a fuck. All right.
Can I?
And then go ahead. Wait.
Oh, pardon me. No, sorry. Continue with your thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say. So then so it's we can't even convince nobody gives a shit. Things are so terrible right now for us that even if aliens came, if they're not offering solutions, nobody's going to care.
The real problem.
This society knows that aliens are real, can offer solutions. It's
and
so
and will simply refuse to because they don't deserve it yet.
Yeah.
Now, Zoss, the problem with that is that aliens, I mean, while certainly real, come on, definitely aliens out there somewhere in the universe. All the Pentagon footage and all that stuff is bullshit. It's nonsense. It's just I don't know. It's some sort of
they're clearly from the center of the earth.
Come on.
You ever play
Gears of War, Zots? That's what's happening.
I like the conspiracy theories about the alien thing, like people being oh, the Pentagon's trying to tell us the aliens are real to distract us from the proxy wars that are becoming public, that they for World War III that's going to happen, and blah
that
blah
is
blah.
much more credible than the footage.
But I like the idea that they do, and their solution to this problem, the way that they're going to fake it is they just go, look, we found this footage of an alien. Everybody's like, that's not an alien. You shut up.
Yeah.
Well, I think most people seem to be oh yeah, hey, look, that is aliens, and then going about their merry way.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. But you know what does bring people to a fucking halt? releasing the potential murderer of Tupac Shakur. Now that that made people stop for a second. Hold on.
I stopped.
There might
Wait,
be.
did that happen? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They found.
Recently?
Yeah, like 2 days. Like I think it was like maybe a week or a couple days right
I don't
before.
use Twitter anymore, so I have no idea what's going on in the world.
It turns out it was aliens.
Oh,
Turns out it was
fuck.
aliens. Shot.
Shit.
Shot. It was part of a greater plan.
Well, this is the danger of like aliens looking at primitive cultures for sports, that they get really invested in a lot of our stuff. In this case, some aliens got really interested in the East Coast West Coast rivalry, and they took a side, and they started working for the LAPD and killed Biggie.
If you looked at the technology in America at the time, there was no way they could have divided the country into the East and West without help from extraterrestrials. Like, it just didn't have the technology to do that at the time.
Jesus fuck.
The aliens are directly the employee of Suge Knight. It turns out Suge Knight's an alien.
God, that explains so much.
That was Star Trek, folks.
Well, 1 second. One thing I do want to say. There's for anyone that wants to see this story but done good, there is an episode of The Orville that does this exact story but way better.
Oh yeah.
The conceit in that episode is that they accidentally contaminate a culture, but it's a culture that phases in and out of time, out of sync with us.
Which is also kind of like most things in the Orville, it's also like half based on something from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Which is not a condemnation.
They disappear and they come back like 500. It's been like 500 years for them, so you get to see like how that contamination and the religion that builds up around it like actually affects their culture. And there's like good things about it and bad things about it.
And if you want to see a worse version of that Orville episode, go check out the Voyager episode where they get trapped in this planet that's experiencing time really fast. I actually like that episode. I like that episode quite a lot.
I don't want to give fucking McFarlane or whatever the fuck his name is any credit for anything.
I would have put money on Seth MacFarlane getting Me Too'd, but he never did. I'm actually shocked. I'm shocked. But
you will have to eat your words, because he there was recently a story about how he was like paying for a bunch of lunches for a bunch of striking union writers.
Oh my god. Oh no, he's actually cool too.
Yeah.
Now my two big predictions. This was like in like 2016. I was like, all right, here's who's on the chopping block: Seth MacFarlane and Bill Maher. One of those I was more right about than the other. It turned out. Well, I don't know. Did Bill Maher ever get he didn't ever got Me Too'd. He just it has become more of an open reactionary than he was when I liked him when I was like 13. God, I saw the movie Religulous in theaters. That has a lot of relevance to.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
Did you see the movie Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood in theaters?
No, but
Ooh,
I will.
not in theaters, but I rented it as a kid.
List.
Or I should say my sister did.
I actually have no idea what that. I mean, I know what Tales from the Crypt is. I don't know what. I'm not.
It's Imagine a Bordello, but it's full of vampires.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Dave.
No, it was the other dipshit.
Dennis Leary, yeah.
Dave.
All right, let's rate the episode. Hey, Zots. Out of oh fuck! I should have thought of this ahead of time. Zots out of a total of 12 evangelicals on a planet. Please rate.
Dennis Miller is who I was thinking.
Dennis Miller. Please rate the episode out of 12 evangelicals that are worshiping Picard.
I'll give it fucking
Evangelical.
I don't know,
turkeys.
6. I'll give it 6. It was a pretty meh episode for me.
Still much higher, thankfully, than you rated Measure of a Man. So very consistent. Thank you. I think actually you rated Measure of a Man a 6 out of 25. So
Maybe I just like the number 6.
Mildred, please rate. I don't know why I'm bad at this all of a sudden. Please rate this episode out of a total of 3 pieces of fabric on a international cloth trader.
If each piece of fabric represents 1 unit of boredom, I would rate it infinity out of 3. This is perhaps the most boring 45 minutes of television I have ever watched.
It's been a while since you watched anything from season 2, huh?
Is it season?
Actually, no, it hasn't.
Yeah, it's been exactly as long as the last appearance on Left Trek. If I probably.
But at least those episodes were bad, and things happened in them. This episode is just like, well, we've kind of got a problem, but it's pretty obvious how you would solve it if you think about it for like even a second.
You know what the funny thing is that I was like, all right, this is a famous, great episode. I've got to make sure that we bring on a big old Trekkie that where everyone will really appreciate this, and it turns out that we're all just kind of like, eh.
Picard gives that one good speech where he tips his fedora and he says, I'm gonna send them back to the Dark Ages. But other than that, it was just kind of frustrating and slow, and it felt like they didn't have any sound effects when they should have.
Just a lot of flashing lights.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm changing your ratings odds to out of 12 total migraines that they've experienced.
It's 6. Either way, it's still 6.
Yeah. Hit me up.
Eric, out of
mine was really sloppy this time. So
yeah,
so don't worry about it.
out of 6 unpointed arrows fired at a god, what do you rate this?
I'll give it 4 arrows directly through Picard's chest, piercing all of his vital organs, and him showing up with a sling several hours later. Ow!
Band-aid. He's got a Hello Kitty bandage on. That's it.
I like this episode. I rewatch it somewhat frequently, but it's been significantly on reconsideration. It's been significantly downgraded in my mind. I have this persistent issue, I think, with a lot of media where if there's like one thing that I really like in it, I kind of just ignore a lot of the other problems with it, and then the entire piece of media is just this one thing that I really like. And I kind of get this with this episode, like, oh, there's a couple good lines that I like that are real Star Trek, and that's the whole episode as far as I'm concerned. But there's
I don't want to give the impression that I would normally watch an episode of Star Trek like this. I was watching it with the eye of, I have to discuss each and every aspect of this episode on a podcast later,
Yeah. No,
tends to lend one a critical eye.
Like a normal person does.
Indeed. and that's allowed me to appreciate episodes that I hated in the past more, and not like episodes very much. And also, we're very directly comparing this to the previous episode that we watched, the Survivors, which was great, and I liked it way more than I even remembered liking it, even though I already knew that I liked it. And so it has, in comparison, been downgraded for me. But hey, you know what? 4 out of 6. I still think it's strongly above average, and it's worth not skipping if you're rewatching the show with us at home. So yeah, that's it. I mean, and you know, there's a lot of individual things to discuss with like the nature of like the Prime Directive and
yeah. If you want to, if you need to stretch out the muscles that in your eyes to roll them, watch this episode. Give them a good workout.
If you really
There's
want to
a
get
lot
a
of-
migraine, there's one
Just,
great scene in this episode that'll be sure to really trigger trigger the blood vessels in your head and just going crazy. Cool. Any closing thoughts?
I'm just glad that I'm the only one that noticed that Ray Wise was one of the aliens, and that guy was named Palmer as a reference to Twin Peaks. Because I don't even really like Twin Peaks. I thought everybody else was going to pick up on that. I was the only one that noticed.
I have actually
No.
never seen Twin Peaks, but that's
And,
fascinating. So that is Wait, when is Twin Peaks from?
Like right before this episode,
Oh wow, okay, so it is
like the
probably
late '80s.
there. Wow, I can't believe no one mentioned that in the IMDb trivia. Like, yeah, that is definitely a a Twin Peaks reference. A
Yeah,
contemporary
the
Twin
Ray
Peaks
Wise's character is named Liko. His character on Twin Peaks was Leland Palmer.
Oh yeah, what? Yeah, what? Yeah, what the fuck? What?
Well, better go add it in now. Now's your chance to shine.
Any IMDb editors and who are watching, go add that in real quick.
I don't do it for the glory. You know, I just
Just do it 'cause
the scholarship
You love
for
the
me.
craft.
Scholarship. It's the constant nagging content brain, the little content maggot that rides inside. You're just like, every bit of media that you take in, you're just like, I can use this later.
Oh yeah, I want to close on a piece of trivia that I picked up from IMDb actually, which is this is 44 helpful upvotes, only 6 downvotes. This is the second of 3 times Picard shows a native female her home planet from orbit.
The third time it's in First Contact, and I think it's a bit fucked up to call just a human woman a native.
Oh my, wait, is that what they're referring to? No, that's not. Is that
I
what?
think.
No,
that
I
definitely
think
happens in First Contact.
that is. Oh my god, that would be that. Oh god, that'd be so. Oh no, they're referring to. I don't know what the first. I don't remember exactly what the first time is, but the next time they're referring to is the one where that species is about to enter warp drive and Picard and Riker's on the planet.
But it's like they said there was 3.
Yes, this is the second of 3 times. So there was one earlier, which I don't know which one is it.
I think I would put a shiny nickel down on the lady from First Contact being included.
Well, then what's the first one then? Because there is one where they do that in another one. I think yeah. It is. I mean, it isn't that next one. I don't know.
It would have to be a first one anyway. So
either it's a well, no, that would be the third one because that's way later. That's way later in the series. That's like season 7. So
right.
So and this is the second of 3 times. So they'd be referring to that as the third time. I do not remember what the first time is.
Well,
You know what? It's the Aryan Sex Planet 1. He brings what a lady up, and then she bows to the space god. Remember that? Anyone remember what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, that's Left Trek, folks.
Anybody remember? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Da, 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 da.
I guess we should do quick plugs. Zots, you got anything going on?
No, I got nothing going on. Don't forget to like and share this episode. Share the episode to yourself in an email. YouTube doesn't care, but it counts. And let's see what else we do. Yeah, and especially if you're like a YouTube Plus Red member, it's like double. I don't know how it works. You pay for it. Your vote counts more.
Interesting.
And what else is there? Ask your questions. Give us questions to
Yeah,
answer.
we got a lot of comments. We didn't get a lot of questions. Give us some questions, folks.
I don't think we've said anything controversial in this episode, so I think the comments are going to be pretty level-headed.
I'm Eric from Left Trek. Please check out Left Trek. It's really great. Mildred, if anyone's not familiar in the audience with your work, where can they find you?
YouTube.com/thoughtslime or YouTube.com/scaredycatstv if they like the spooky shit.
It's spooky season, folks. Add some spookiness to your YouTube subscription page today.
If you want your anime fix, hey, they just did an episode on Chainsaw Man, so go check that out. It's pretty fucking good.
Chainsaw Man is a manga that I wanted to read very badly, and then I was like, I really have to read this before the anime comes out, and it's huge. And then
you fucked up.
Yeah, a full year passed, and the anime came out, and it's super popular. And I've just been desperately trying to avoid spoilers so that I can read the manga, so I can watch the. It's a vicious cycle of me.
Maybe don't watch the video then.
But if you are at home are familiar with Chainsaw Man or not, go. Hey, you know what? Just go watch stuff.
Tell us if you made it this far. Tell us below. Write your Chainsaw Man cross Star Trek fan fiction for me, please.
Please cast Chainsaw Man as the they're probably going to do a TNG reboot, another one pretty soon. They got to cast. Please, what Chainsaw characters would you cast as which Enterprise crewman? Sound off in the comments. Where are you going to put Kobeni? Let's find out.
Ensign Rowe, I would say.
Or is that like a you know what? Never mind. Stop recording.